Sup everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're back on Destiny 2 with another builds. Today's builds are going to be across all three characters, Hunter, Warlock and Titan. I wanted to show the best three dominant builds for the Grandmaster scene this season that you can take into any Nightfall and you should have zero issues getting a completion with. If you are struggling with Nightfalls to getting the Grandmaster completion for that sweet adept weapon, feel free to come by my Twitch channel. I'm always doing helps and Sherpas, teaching people the ropes on the Grandmasters. Otherwise, till then, I hope you guys do enjoy. I hope this video does help. So, with the three builds that I have got designed, the first one I want to talk primarily about is the Titan concept. The Titan one is designed with the Storm's Keep aspect in mind, as well as purely using Thunder Crash. The reason you want to be using Thunder Crash, you want to maximize as much damage as possible against whatever you're fighting, and I always feel that Thunder Crash has two purposes. One, hit a boss, hit a chunk of ads or champions, or use it as a getaway super if you need to get the fuck out of a bad situation. That's generally how I use it if I am struggling. But I wanted to break down the whole concept of the build design around this one. The best weapons for this is going to be either a weapon that gives you high amounts of ionic traces, so you can get your abilities back and Bolt Charge. So an arc weapon would be great. Volt Shot, Feeding Frenzy, Jolting Feedback, and Rolling Storm are probably the best perks possible, or you can use it with Le Monarch, which is really good to cover you from obviously ranged attacks, or even again being in close proximity. This tends to help a lot more than let on. The way I like to use this build is I like to stay between a mid to close distance, so if something gets close I can still punch them, I can still throw a blinding nade, but normally I'm just pairing this with Monarch and just shitting on enemies with Bolt Charge. Again, you want to be mainly focusing on a defensive play here, not the aggression or the aggressive sort of playstyle that a lot of us are used to with Consecration Titan. This is designed to be passive but still get the job done. I know a lot of teams normally go and obviously sit further back. I'm not like that. This is why most games you see, I'm in a position where I am going to be hit from a lot of angles and I am obviously getting chunked by different variants of ads. But I'm still able to survive because the barricade's taunting him. I'm able to stun and able to kill shit at a reasonable distance, which keeps me in a safer area to obviously kill shit. Overall, most of the work being done here is through obviously Bolt Charge alone. But again, if you're using an arc weapon, you'll be able to just get obviously even more go off, especially with Rolling Storm being a thing. Personally, I hope this build kind of sticks around for the long run, and I hope whatever they do with Monarch, it doesn't really damage the concept of how this build is operated. Because we need more builds that aren't always close range, but still have a high output of damage. In terms of exotics, I feel Hazardous Propulsion works best. You can obviously use what you feel comfortable with, but Hazardous, in my opinion, has the best effect when you're obviously dealing with enemies. You can put down a barricade and the missiles will obviously pop out for every precision kill you get or precision hit. This is how I've been using it, and I've been able to maximize obviously ad clearing as well as boss damage due to the fact that I'm not really doing much besides from just getting free damage on a cringy little shield. And again, compared to Curious, I don't T-Crash a lot, so I tend to not see needing to abuse that as much. And that goes for something like, obviously, an Inframata's Skullfort. That's a really good exotic to use, but I'm not in enough close proximity to anything to need to punch everything. Otherwise, I have Knockout, which still gives me a chunk of health back if I'm critically wounded and I get a kill with a punch. So, either way, I feel like I'm set with this sort of composition. I can damage, I can survive, I can taunt. I have a role that obviously supports the team. Otherwise, moving on. For the Hunter's a bit of an odd one, because the way I play with this, I am always frontlining. You don't play passive. You can play passive, but it doesn't obviously warrant the full effects of how the build is designed. You're kind of using Ascension, but abusing it with some other aspects like Gifted Conviction. When I say that, you pretty much will be going up to an enemy, jumping, ascending, using Gifted, the little orbs hit targets for you, and it gives you a damage reduction, plus amplification will give you a free damage reduction. And that dies will also give you Stylus Executioner, because the effects, obviously you were jolting a target when it died. So Stylus Executioner works differently on Prismatic than normal, obviously normal Void. But the way I like to play here is having something that gives me an overshield, so the new Lotus Eater is a perfect example, and Bastion. Whenever I obviously use Ascension, I use Gambler's Dodge, so I can get my Threaded Spectre or Threaded Needle back as fast as I need. Dodge, throw my Threaded Needle, and then I just shred shit with Bastion, because this increases Bastion's damage. If you read how Bastion works, throwing a melee increases the gun's damage, and in return, shooting a target and hitting damage will increase the melee damage. So it's a two-way street here. But again, the way I utilize it is just up close personal slamming everything. I tend to use a machine gun as a secondary weapon that is void, so I can get destabilization rounds go off and proc that. So if I am needing to shred something fast, this tends to help me out a lot more compared to other things. Unlike a lot of people, I like to play aggressive with a lot of my builds. I'm not really a passive sort of person. The best thing about this build, again, is easy Transcendence. Like, Transcendent energy just flows through you, because you're using void abilities, well, void weapons, and then most of your abilities are going to be either grapple or Dusk Grenade, whatever you feel comfortable with in your grenade, and obviously Withering Blades or Thread Spectre, because they're pretty much the best you can use. You can go with Smoke Bomb, but I feel this is more effective with Thread Needle, because Thread Needle gives you Sever when it hits a target, and Sever debuffs obviously enemies, which is very, very effective, especially if they are gonna be hitting you. You have as much shit possible, just lower the amount of damage that you take. And this is the whole concept of this build. Take less damage, deal the most damage you can, get Prismatic as much as you can, and tear bosses apart. I've been using this for the current Nightfall, and it's just been so enjoyable. It's been, instead of being a Titan, it just feels more freer. Obviously the speed isn't there compared to Titan, which is slamming, but you still have power to just nuke shit. Like, Unstops and that takes so much damage with this composition of Ascension, Needle, Bastion. And then, if I'm at a distance and I need to tear enemies apart, I'm just using a machine gun or my Lotus Eater to get my overshield back. And it's just so easy to utilize compared to what I would say just using Invis is, or using just a base build, because I can play aggressive and I can be fast and effective instead of playing slow and have to camp at a distance like most hunters. I can push in there like a psychopath. This is a style that a lot of people who want to start playing aggressive as a hunter should start doing, because it's enjoyable. For Warlocks, this build's been going around. I think a lot of creators have already put a video out on it, but I just want to put the concept. This is practically like infinite supers. You might as well just call me a cheater at this point. Like, I've been reported from multiple LFGs because they thought I was cheating with this build. It's just so dumb. The best weapons to pair with it is going to be either Delicate Tomb or Psycho Chomp with Rolling Storm. The build in question is the GMAG Stabilizers. If you build your aspects and fragments correctly, you can get as much Ionic Traces as possible, which just is another form of abuse. Like, the more Ionic Traces you spend, the better. The way I've set it up is so every time I get Ionic Traces, I obviously get them come at me, I collect them, I fire on an Ionic Sentry, which deals even more damage, and whenever you collect an Ionic Trace, you just get amplified. So you're getting Bolt Charge, amplified, and traces to throw sentries out. You're literally able to blind stuff, kill stuff, and survive, and get your super ridiculously quick. Like, in this sort of gimmick here, I managed to get my super 3 times on a single boss with like fuck all adds around me, and they're all on the other side, using Psycho Chomp and Rolling Storm, just getting free Bolt Charge, getting free Ionic Traces for a kill. This is the sort of thing that I feel we have needed for Arc subclasses for a long time, and again, I hope this sort of sticks around. I know these seasonal artifacts obviously help out here, but overall, this Arc build of GMAGs will shred any boss this season if used correctly. Like, if you're going to use it, make sure you obviously have a good setup to get the Ionic Traces. A lot of teams and a lot of people I've noticed don't actually use that secondary arc weapon. Like, using the secondary arc weapon is going to have the most benefit in here overall. So again, the new few new weapons I could say, get the Iron Banner, Trace, as well as the Guardians game, Psycho Chomp, anything that gives you jolting feedback, Volt Shots, Rolling Storm, like, they're what you want. Lodestar's a good example as well, it feeds Ionic Traces, and just getting as much as possible and getting multiple supers, you can shred everything in your path. Like, instead of sitting on the basic, alright, let me just get my Song of Flame, I'm going to use GMX and just shred the shit out of everything around me and have so much fun. Like, I play aggressive as hell with this because I know I get my super frequently enough to just nuke. Overall, I am hoping this build gets pushed a lot more within the season coming. Otherwise, till then, I hope you guys do enjoy these 3 builds. They're all linked below in the description under a dim link. So, hope you guys enjoy. There are also going to be a few honorable mentions that I want to add real quick. Titan Consecration Slam is still very effective, as well as Warlock Getaway Artist build. And for Hunters, this one's going to be a odd one, but I still think it works relatively well. Orpheus rigs just on Invis in general. It's just super effective, and this can work with prismatic builds as well if you don't want to play the aggressive style. Otherwise, I hope these builds help. See you in the next one.